the Van Halens were hanging out. Those guys, it was like they were regular people. You know what I mean? Which is like how it should be, because we're all just regular people.
Yeah.
And they were all just like doing their thing and whatever. And it's like when Dave rolled up, it was like a whole different story.
An all-new episode of The Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Last time I saw you perform live was actually on the last ever Van Halen tour. I saw you in Montreal, in Toronto at the Budweiser stage, and then I think the next night at the PNC in Jersey too. I did 2 nights on that. Talk a little about that tour and your experience, because I mean, like, you were like the last guy to be on support for Van Halen, basically, and we're huge Van Halen fans on this show. So anytime we get some Eddie stories or anything, we love it.
Well, you know, I've known Eddie and our history goes back to when I was just a little kid, right? Like, my dad actually took Valerie Bertinelli to her first Van Halen concert and got her backstage where she first met Eddie, and they became an item. Yeah. So, you know, our history goes way back, even before I was a musician. And so it's interesting how our lives kind of intertwined over the years. And I did a tour with them back in the 90s when it was Van Halen 3 with Gary Sharon. And Eddie and I became, you know, friends on that tour, and maintained a friendship over the years. And then when they got together to do this last tour, which nobody knew it was going to be the last tour, obviously, but you know, that whole thing came together. You know, every time the rumors started flying that Van Halen might be hitting the road again, every rock band on the planet was like jockeying for position to try and be on that tour. Yeah. And the whole thing came together basically through me and Ed just texting each other about it. And he made the call, you know, him and the band. He checked with them, obviously, because, you know, they were a band, and he respected that. But like, he and I were texting back and forth, and that's how that deal got done, you know, and it was really awesome. And every single day, every day he came and found me, like sought me out wherever I was, came up, gave me a big hug, sat down, talked with me for, you know, long periods of time. Yeah, it was great. And I'm really grateful. That's a really amazing memory. And I feel fortunate to have been that, you know, played that part in that last tour, especially because our family history goes back so far. And it's like, you know, it was interesting.
Like full circle in a way.
Yeah, the last night we did two shows at the Hollywood Bowl in LA. Those were the last 2 shows of the tour, and my dad was there for those, and he got to meet, you know, Wolfgang, and Wolfgang, you know, went up to my dad. He goes, "Well, I guess I owe you a thank you for my life," you know, or something like that. My dad's like, you know, you don't owe me anything, but you know, it's interesting, like seeing that, like. Yeah, especially because I had heard the story, but like my dad likes to like embellish, you know, he's a good storyteller, and the stories kind of grow and grow. And so, you know, most of my life, I was always like curious as to how much of it was actually, how accurate it actually was. But I met Valerie's brothers, and, you know, they were like, "Yeah, your dad, blah, blah, blah," you know, and then when Wolfgang came and said that, you know, it's like, yeah, this is all like 100% legit, man. And
it's amazing.
So it's interesting. Yeah, it is kind of full circle. And it was a very cool moment for sure. And the tour was fantastic.
What's it like being on a tour like that with Van Halen? I mean, like, do you get treated like an opening act, or is it like, because you're friends with Eddie, like, yeah, you know, you get kind of, you know, preferential treatment?
They treated, well, I don't know about preferential treatment. I just know how I was treated, right? And we were treated with the utmost respect. The crew treated us great. They gave us everything we wanted, all the time we needed to do whatever. Maybe that's because Ed and I were close. But the only person that didn't, like, literally didn't even say hello to me or anything was David Lee Roth.
Really?
Like, yeah, never said hi, never, like, as a matter of fact, you know, he's one of those guys where, like, "David's coming down the hallway, clear the hall, get out of the way, like, nobody look at him." You know, so I'm like, come on, bro, like, yeah, you know, whatever. So, I mean, I don't know the guys personally, but, you know, I've encountered a lot of famous people over the years. Like, I mean, I'm talking like household name, incredibly famous people. And I can only mention like a handful of people who thought that they were that special, that like nobody deserves to be standing in the hallway when they're coming down the hall. You know what I'm saying? and stuff like that. So, I don't judge him. I just observe him.
Was it like that the entire tour? Like there was a lot of rumor, like they were separated. Like, they're on one side of the venue. He's got his own, like one section of the venues and his thing, or were you allowed to go everywhere?
No. The Van Halens were hanging out. Those guys, it was like, they were regular people. You know what I mean? Which is like how it should be, because we're all just regular people.
Yeah.
And they were all just like doing their thing and whatever. And it's like when Dave rolled up, it was like a whole different story, and it's like he had guys like standing outside his bus, like, outside the door with their arms crossed like this. And yeah, like, when he decided to come off the bus, it was like, clear the path, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but the contrast is like Ed, would like wander around and walk around, and find me on my bus, no security, it's like he would sit down. I'm sitting outside smoking cigars by the bus. He's sitting next to me in a fold out chair, and we're just shooting the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
meanwhile, David Lee Roth still acting.
Couldn't have been more different for sure.
Yeah, he's still acting like as if it's 1984, and like he's like, it's still the rock star. I mean, but you know what? I gotta say, I kind of respect it because somebody's got to do it.
Well, some of that stuff is smoke and mirrors, man. It's like,
but that's what I'm saying. It's part of the show. It's like part of the shtick, right?
It's a little off-putting. I got to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, some people can do it, I guess.
Okay, so look, for the industry people, yes, it can be off-putting, but I'm sure for like the staff at the venue or like the fans and stuff, like hearing tales like that, like, oh yeah, he's the rock star. Like, but for us, it's kind of like, really, like, what a dick.
Well, no, it's like, let me just put it to you this way. And I guess ultimately, it shouldn't matter what you can't control what other people think about you. So why worry about it? But what do you think the reaction? Let's just say you're a security guy working backstage at that show, and then they're gonna go tell their friends, "Oh, dude, I was working security at the Van Halen show," and you know what they're gonna say? They're gonna say, "Bro," and then Eddie was just like the nicest guy. He's wandering around like, just like you and me, bro. He's just like you and me, wandering around like, but David, like when David came out, they made all of us leave. Like nobody could talk to him. Nobody could look at him. Blah, blah, like that's what people are going to say. And so it's like at a certain point, like you shouldn't care because you can't control what people think. But which guy do you want to be? I'd rather be the guy that they're saying, he's just like one of us, because there should be that separation. Like, I guess, like, you're an entertainer, like you want some mystique, you want a little bit of curiosity, like you want people to think that there's something different, but the talent establishes that. Like, because not everybody can play guitar like that. So they already know that there's a difference between you and them, because you can do these things with this instrument that they can't do. But when they find out that like you don't think of yourself as better than everybody else, it's like then you're really endearing to them. You know what I mean?
No, totally.
I don't know how many people like are really feel endeared by David Lee Roth. I certainly don't. You know what I mean? And I'm not slamming the guy because like he's one of my favorite. I mean, obviously he's one of my favorite rock vocalists of all time. I mean, I love the early Van Halen stuff, so I'm not slamming the guy himself, or I don't even know him personally. Like I never got a chance to get to know him personally.
Wait, after all that, you never even met him?
No, not one time, bro. Not one time. And the only time that I was like on the stage or by the stage when he was coming down the hallway and they shoot everybody away, it's like I was like, okay, fine. I could have like stood my ground and been like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm Kenny Wayne Shepherd, but like I'm not gonna do that. It's like whatever, bro. You want to be like that? That's fine. I don't need you to see me. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. After all those years as your friendship with Ed, did you ever get to play the Frankenstein or the Kramer 5150 or anything?
No, I played one of the Wolfgang guitars back in the day, but I never asked. I mean, I try not to be that guy. Like as much as you want to like fanboy, like because Ed to me was like he's the Michael Jordan of like guitar, like across the board, like the branding. I mean, even the colors, like the Chicago Bull colors and the freaking Frankenstein, but like the branding that he was able to do, it's like he and he's like one of the greatest of all times, innovator of the sport, if you will. It's like, I mean, so yeah, dude, I was just as like floored by him and his talent and what he did and accomplished as anybody was. But I don't want to be that guy. Like, hey man, like I have 2 pictures of us, as opposed to like every chance I could get. Hey man, let's get a picture. It's like not that guy.
An all-new episode of The Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Catch up on past interviews and episodes on demand now.
Subscribe so you don't miss any of it.